We can all see you. Okay, that's good. Go ahead.
So I'm Curtis Klein. My name is Asif Chowdhury.
I'm Emily Schneider.
My name is John Hine.
This is our presentation on how we made this 3D back massage.
Okay.
All right, so cool. So first thing we're going to talk about is the inspiration of our design. So essentially, what inspired us to choose this back massage roller, or whatever you guys want to call it. And then we went into the individual component design. So we made like different parts, and we want to go into each part and how we made that. And then of course the printing of each component, how we ended up printing it, and then essentially assembling it together after that. And of course, we want to talk about the challenges we faced along during this process. So things like the designs, the assembly, printing, stuff like that. And of course, we'll show you the final product and demonstrate how to use it essentially.
So after carrying a heavy backpack around all day, Asif was really mad. He was like, man, I could really use a shoulder massage right now. And if only I had a cheap, lightweight, handheld massage roller. And we were in a brainstorming session. He wouldn't stop complaining. We thought, might as well just make one as our project because it would fit all the requirements and shut him up. So yeah, that's how we came up with the idea.
Okay, so we're going to go into our components. So we had 3 different design components. So we have the roller, which is the silver gray part. And then we had 2 pins, which are on the side, and so they're also printed in the same material to hold the roller in place. And then we had the handle, which was printed too large. So we had to make it into 2 different designs. So we'll go into that. So this is the SolidWorks designs for all of them. And so you can just see like it's a sketch for a circle, and then we just extruded out the cylinder for the pins. And then for the handles, it used to be one long one, but then we had to break into 2 separate. We used a peg kind of system to attach the 2, but since it's in the sketch, you won't be able to see it. You'll see it when it's getting printed. And then this is the design we used for the roller, so it's kind of a cylinder, and then we use a linear pattern with half circles to produce the roller parts.
So for the printing of the roller and the pin, we used the single nozzle Rollspot printer. We scaled it down to 70% of the original design so it fit on the table. And we printed both simultaneously to save time because the pins were really small. You thought you could just throw them on there. You're kind of surprised that we didn't need the supports for the little massage balls, I guess you'd call them, because they're kind of hanging out at an angle, but these ended up working fine. And it took a while because it's a really big part, as you can see. It took about 5.5 hours, but it came out in one try.
And so this is what it looks like on the software, and then there's a photo of it actually printing.
For the handle, obviously we had 2 parts. You couldn't see it on the other slide, but right here's the peg, and then there's a hole it was supposed to go into. There's no single nozzle printers available, so we used the dual nozzle Flash Forge printer and scaled it down 70% to match with the other parts. And then you're surprised also we didn't need any support material for the peg for the top component. Just printed off, hanging off at 90 degrees. The top component took about 3.5 hours, and the bottom component took 1.5 hours. And each of them had a few issues because the dual nozzle printer isn't as good as a single nozzle.
So for our challenges, it was really hard since we made the whole part in SolidWorks. We didn't download a file or anything, and we didn't have anything to really go off of. So just thinking about it enough for the tolerances, since we needed the pin, we had to account for the space from the roller to make sure it didn't hit the handle. There's just lots of calculations we had to think about. And then also scaling it and how big it is and just all of that kind of stuff. And then like he mentioned, support structures, we didn't actually need any, so luckily that was fine too.
Yeah, the dual nozzle printer, one of the biggest concerns was the dual nozzle printer warped the parts and the handle, so they're not like flat and then fit together perfectly.
If you can see on this.
Yeah, you can see they don't fit together right. So then when we were connecting it, we thought we could just use a little bit of glue, or maybe like we originally tried epoxy and didn't work, and since it didn't fit together, it wasn't staying as well. So it's a little bit, I don't know, it's kind of janky because we had to use super glue and acetone. I looked it up, in acetone it kind of dissolves the ABS plastic, and then when you put it back together it dries and hardens into each other, and then super glue to make it even stronger.
So this is for assembly of the pins on the top part of the handle. So they were used to hold the roller or in place. That's pretty nice.
And yeah, this is the final product. Few views of it. You can see it here. We can demonstrate it on you if you like.
Who wants to use the volunteer?
There's 3 people already up there.
Yeah.
You can.
I don't care. So since it's a little questionable at the piece of point, you just kind of hold it above and then you can.
Maybe.
Since it's large, you can just go all over it.
Let's find another guy. With this guy.
Come on.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
Phil, remember you have to leave the name mentioned.
How do you like it?
8 out of 10.
We're going about
Let's have another one.
And then the good part is since the handle's so large, you can like do it
Okay.
yourself. If you want
Maybe
it.
find another. Maybe find another.
And
Do you want to try? Do you want to try? Yeah, go ahead.
And then also we use half circles for the knots.
Okay. She's nice to you.
So then you don't have any questions? What? He's a huge fan. You should have seen his reaction. 'Cause he
Yeah.
likes it.
Oh really? Massage?
Oh yeah.
Because you need a good rub down after, you know.
Oh, do you have a machine in your house?
Do I have maybe?
Okay. Any more questions?
Why didn't you guys, was there a specific reason you didn't use like a solid like axle all the way through? Is it just easier to assemble?
In this?
Yeah.
We wanted it to not go up against the sides of the handle.
Right.
There. We wanted it to like have a stopper so we could keep it from, like if you look at it, there's always going to be a gap there.
This is pushed all the way left. There's a cylinder extruded in the middle as a cut, and it's not as deep as the tolerance from the outside of the screen to the inside of this. So there's when I designed it, 5 millimeters, so it's been scaled and changed a lot. That way, if you push it all the way to one side, it won't fit on the side. Any other questions?
Any more? Any more questions?
If you want to try it out, we're sitting in the second to last row.
You want to try?
No.
Go ahead. Go try it. Oh, okay.
You're good?
Witness.